Evil science and magic buddies.
Hello and welcome to the Cryptonaut podcast presents Evil Science and Magic Buddies, the show within the show, the conspiracy of the conspiracy, spooky season, listeners, stories, special, bonus, audio. That's a title right there. My name is Mark Storrs. Hanging out with me as always is
Rob Morphy.
Robert. We are joined by a very special guest, one half of the podcast of Let's Get Haunted.
Woo-woo. That's right. I'm here. I'm representing for Team LGH.
Yes.
Nat could not join today. My co-host, Natalia. Everyone pour one out for her if you're listening while drinking a beverage. She's here in
Nice.
spirit.
Yeah, and actually we're going to pour one out for our buddy Chris because he's not here either. So there you go. There's no
that's,
Chris.
That's a little something that in-house we call Thunderdome protocols. When a member can't make it and the rest have to get to it. So this is also a Thunderdome Protocols episode. Thank you for being here, Allie. This is really
this is
fun.
the first. This
Thanks
is
for
the
having
first,
me.
The first 3-person Thunderdome protocol.
Yeah, that's crazy.
Wow.
Oh, 3 people
I feel
enter.
so honored. And
One
only
person
one can
leaves.
leave.
Yeah. Oh man. All
No,
right,
no,
cool.
we're all going to leave. Yeah,
I want to be.
Let me
I'm
rectify.
still Tina Turner. I'm still Tina Turner.
You're
so
always
let's go.
Tina Turner.
I'm always Tina Turner.
You got the best hair. You have to be. Well, not anymore.
No.
Allie's here, so I'm sorry. The title's
Thank
gone.
you.
No,
Thank
Allie's
you.
got awesome hair. So yeah, thank you for joining us, Allie. Real quick before we get started here with these listener stories, just tell us a little bit. Let our listeners know about your show. I'm sure we definitely have some crossover listeners, but fill everybody in with what you and Nat are doing over there.
Yeah, definitely. So first of all, thank you so much for having me on the show. Nat and I are big fans of what you guys do. We had so much fun when you guys came on our show and just really excited to be back. And I hope it's one of many. But Nat and I have been doing our podcasting thing since 2019. We met in college and became really tight friends and kind of bonded over our mutual love of things that may not be favorable to speak about in a public setting, such as ghosts and hauntings, general hauntings. And then we also had kind of this running inside joke of anytime we got drunk or kind of just had a weird moment in a public setting, we would always say, "Oh, sorry, I just got haunted for a second." And so that turned into kind of just something that we used to say to absolve ourselves of anything awkward that we had done. So getting haunted is not just being possessed by a demon. It could also mean that you were just possessed by a moment where you did something stupid that you wish you hadn't have done. And now you can just blame it on a demon, Who's going to know?
Oh my God.
That's awesome.
And yeah, so we upload every Wednesday, every single week, and have a good time. The only month we take off is January for our families for the holidays. And we upload anything from conspiracies to alien stories to ghost stories, a lot of the same stuff that you guys do as well. So I do think there's probably listeners of Cryptonaut podcasts that are also listening to Let's Get Haunted and vice versa.
Yeah, no, for
Definitely.
sure.
And they should be if they're not, because it is hilarious and funny. I feel like we have definitely found spiritual counterparts in the lands unknown. Because, I mean, obviously we've had a chance to talk and we've already done a podcast together, and it is fun and it jibes. And you guys are just so fun, so real, so knowledgeable. So I highly recommend to anyone that is not familiar with the Let's Get Haunted podcast to do so
thank you.
immediately.
Nat and I go into any social situation just assuming everyone's going to hate us. So, and that way when people like us, we're like pleasantly surprised, So that's great to hear because we love you guys too.
Oh, that's awesome. Awesome. Yeah, so thank you for joining us. And yeah, let's, Robert, we got some listener stories to cover here today. And
So this is where I put Mark on the spot, because he picks stories, and let's put it this way, he doesn't always deep think. So I demand a theme. I always demand a theme.
Oh, okay. All
And
right.
and sometimes he comes through with some doozies. And so I'm curious, Mark, what is your theme for this week's pod?
It's interesting because this sort of is a continuation of what we did with Nat and Allie over there on Let's Get Haunted. It's the woods.
Oh my God.
The scariest of all settings.
It's just I'm pretty sure. Let me think. Yeah, it's the woods. It's the woods. It's close to woods.
One week, Mark came up with a bunch of stories, and they all involved 13-year-old kids who lived in rural areas who had like weird paranormal things and something maybe to do with a dead grandparent. And I'm like, oh, dude, you
That is
nailed it.
so
You nailed the theme.
specific.
And this is what Mark said. Oh, yeah, I had a theme. Ghosts. And I'm like, you motherfucker. This is no fucking way to show your appreciation for the weird.
Yeah, no. My big brain stops at a moment where I'm like, I'm just here to have fun, man. We're talking about some spooky shit in the woods. So.
And now we're talking about shit in the woods, which, as Mark said, you brought some really fascinating accounts when we were on your podcast, which is also going to be available by the time you're hearing this. Mm-hmm. And it was really fun and it was really fascinating. And we came up with Fae Force 1, which delighted me to no end.
Yeah, where's the merch?
Oh, give it time. Listen, it's a slow process over at Cryptonaut headquarters, okay? Come on.
We are working on that merch game.
It's literally so easy.
I will be the first order, so let me know when you've got it up.
It's 100% happening. But Mark did pick some really interesting stories sent in by our listeners. So what makes that fascinating is not only is the built-in audience likely someone that experienced it, but also these are cases that very likely have never shown up anywhere else. So we'll be the first people to like publicly pontificate on these things.
Ooh,
so
love it.
Yeah, that's one of the best parts about Listener Story Night. So I guess without any further ado, let's get this going on. Mark, tell me in advance before I completely dock somebody and if it's going to be quiet or not.
Yeah, the first one here, we're just going to leave that as anonymous.
All right, perfect.
Yep.
Hey, guys, I don't know that this story is paranormal, but it's weird and it's true. It makes me think of the undoubtedly real interdimensional shaman Bigfoot, which is, for the record, Ellie, Mark's pet. He refuses to believe anything corporeal or genetic or it's not a primate. It's none of the scientific things that I like to hold on to. For him, it's this magical thing trolloping through the forest, shitting where it wants and eating clams and whatever the fuck it does.
That makes sense.
So
makes perfect sense.
Thank you, Ellie.
He has
that.
obviously people that support that particular theory.
I have Ellie here for that. Thank you.
Continuing. In August 2019, I was on a crew doing an environmental survey in the Medicine Bow National Forest, which, if I'm not mistaken, was where Carl Higdon was abducted from in Wyoming. And I know that definitely happened in Wyoming. That's neither here nor there. I just believe that's where that happened. We would hike through the woods. I'm sorry, what was that?
Interesting spot for sure with Carl Higdon getting abducted from there.
Yeah, the Also One abduction. Ellie, if you guys haven't done that yet, holy, what a treasure.
Oh, Also One rules.
It's a crazy case.
Do you have like a TLDR, like 2 sentences, what happened?
Oh, yeah. Yeah. It is about a man who ran an oil rig. Some of his key workers couldn't work that day, so he decided to go elk hunting, and he's a Wyoming guy, had a bunch of kids, his wife, and he liked to stock up the freezer for the winter. I can't do 2 sentences, so forgive me in advance. He went into the woods.
The impossible.
Just shut your pie hole and just no, I'm kidding. So he went into the woods to bow hunt, to rifle hunt in Medicine Bow. And as he was taking a shot at a herd of elk, his bullet hit jello, fell to the ground. He encountered this alien that was flying a glass box, which had straw hair, a drill bit for one hand, no hand on the other hand, a slick, like full leather, like sci-fi suit from the 1960s, like an outtake from Barbarella. And he ends up abducting him and taking him to his home world where it gets batshit crazy. And it goes on from there. So that's a little introductory thing. I think you guys would have. I would love to hear your takes on this if you ever get to it.
You and Nat would love it. It's awesome.
I feel like just from the blurb you gave, it sounds like he encountered like the meth head of the alien race. You know, we've all got them.
That's pretty much
accurate.
it, actually. It's really
That's
accurate.
so on the nose.
It really is.
And just for the record, too, the guy also, the alien that is also one, abducted a fuck ton of elk.
Yeah.
And put him in his little TARDIS box with the guy and took him to the home world.
Yeah, makes a lot of sense. Yeah.
Because they hunt and fish on Earth. That's literally what he said.
Yeah.
So we're a game reserve. It's fun. But now we're going back to the other
We're going to have to look into that.
All right.
Yes. Please do, because I would love to hear your take on it. So this guy is in Medicine Bow National Forest, which is also in Wyoming. We would hike through the woods and collect environmental data for upcoming logging projects. We were way out there. Every morning we would drive down Forest Service roads for 1 to 2 hours. Then we'd park the truck and hike in for another 1 to 2 hours before we could even start the survey. To stay organized and to keep from getting separated, we all carried walkie-talkies set to a specific channel. Every once in a while, you would hear some random feedback or static come from your walkie, but it never lasted for more than a second. Usually another crew member bumping their talk button. We were so far out there, and getting lost was a very real, very serious danger. Everyone was careful to have their walkie handy. One day, when I had split off from the crew to survey a smaller area on my own, my walkie started to spit out static. This was pretty normal, but after a few seconds, it started to clear up. I clearly heard ducks quacking and fluttering in the water coming from my walkie. I stood there listening, thinking, what in the hell is this? Then the duck noises cackled and stopped abruptly. Then a voice came over the radio. The voice didn't actually speak any words. It was just a really loud voice whooping. So party, clearly. It sounded like a mix between a wolf's howl and the horn on a train. It was loud as hell. They would go whoop, and I totally nailed it. That's train wolf completely. Whoop. And after 3 or 4 whoops, my walkie-talkie shifted, back to static, then was silent. I remember this pretty clearly. I was alone at the time and had the volume up on my walkie so I would hear any crew member that tried to talk. And I heard the noises very clearly over the walkie. And by the way, every time I say walkie, I feel really weird because the guys shame me on adding the L sound to walk because, God damn it, that's how it's written and that's how I'm going to say it. So now I just feel like if Chris was here, they would be nonstop laughing at me right now. Thank you, Allie, for being tolerant of my speech impediment.
I think you sound perfect.
Yeah, I didn't even
Thank
notice
you.
when you said walkie, you didn't say walkie. You said walkie.
I did not say walk. No, I'm not. It's not the time. We have company. This is not the time, sir. That's an in-house fight. Mom and Dad are going to go argue about this later. Yeah. All right,
honey,
company.
you're fine. Honey, you're perfect. Okay?
We're walkies.
There, you're
Thank you.
Yes, exactly.
We're all pretty. We can all go to the prom.
Yes.
Yeah.
I radioed the rest of the crew to ask if they had any feedback on their walkies, and they all said no. I thought maybe they were messing with me, but then I thought about how loud the whoops were, and the rest of the crew wasn't that far away from me. I definitely would have heard them making that much noise. I have always assumed that I had picked up some other crew we weren't aware of, or maybe even a local radio station. But that was the only time it ever happened, and it never happened to anyone else. I'm sure there's an explanation, but it seemed very strange at the time, and I still haven't figured it out. Those woods were kind of spooky sometimes, even in the daylight. Later, on the same project, I kept getting hit with pine cones and could never figure out where they came from. That would freak me the fuck out.
I'd be
That's
so
like
pissed.
poltergeist activity, but I've never heard of a poltergeist of the woods. I feel like that's usually reserved for really old British houses.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
And teenage kids. Those are like the two key ingredients nonstop. And I suppose you could have like some surly kids in the woods that a poltergeist would follow, I guess.
Maybe.
I guess, yeah.
My thought would be, have you ever heard of the agro-pelter, which is a lumberjack monster, like one of the great ones like the squonk and others of that ilk? But basically, it's a baby Bigfoot that likes to huck things at you from the trees. Now, sometimes it's deadly, like a huge branch, and you break your neck, and that sucks.
Oh, I was just about to say that sounds really cute. Now, never mind.
Oh yeah, but the
It's still
pine cone
kind of
part,
adorable,
it's
though.
kind of adorable. It's like, oh, you're just being a scamp, a little tree
Right.
scamp, fucking until your neck is broken and you're fucking dead in the woods listening to ducks on your fucking walkie-talkie.
But
which
at
would
least
not be a great
your
way.
last thought going through your mind would be, that was really cute. And then you die.
Fair.
And
That's
then
true.
when you do die, you just go whoop whoop, and there you go, you're dead. That's it.
Oh my God. Was that what, did he hear the dying call of a happy lumberjack?
Yeah.
His radio? All right, we don't need to read anymore. Solved. Done and done. Okay. All right. We're going to get back because I think this wraps up pretty soon. Okay. So I'd always assumed I picked up a radio station or other loggers, or I'm sorry, people in the woods. Sure, there's an explanation. Haven't figured it out. They're spooky in the day. I'm sorry, I have to do this to find my place. Later on that same project, I kept getting hit with pine cones and could never figure out where they came from. They would hit me in the back or the side, sometimes came from above me. Again, I thought it was the crew messing with me, but it happened several times to no one else in sight, and I couldn't get any of them to fess up to it. I don't know if any of this is a paranormal thing, but it was definitely strange, and I have never forgotten about it. Thus ends the account.
Yeah, so I guess his take on the interdimensional Sasquatch here is that like it's communicating through the walkie-talkie waves, like it's coming into our existence via the waves of the walkie-talkie.
I mean, that's not totally absurd. I've definitely heard stories before where, actually, we just talked about this on our show a few episodes ago about prison planet theory, and we had a small conversation in that episode about, I don't know if you guys heard the weird thing on the news when the Queen died, and then there was like a voice that comes over the broadcast airwaves that goes something so bizarre, like the death is irreversible, and the fact that she's trapped within the body, and then it like cuts out, and even the guy doing the news is like,
he stops for a second. I was just listening to that exact episode, that part when I pulled into the house from dropping my son off, and I'm like, yeah, death is irreversible. What? I kind of remember when it came out. I just never followed up on it, but yeah, it's super
weird.
Creepy, man.
Mad creepy.
And so the only explanation, because Nat and I were like, this is so frightening. Like, there has to be an explanation for this. And the only thing I could think of is I was born in the 90s. And I remember my mom telling a story of how they had a baby monitor and it picked up one day some audio from somebody that was calling a landline, like a neighbor. And somehow the wires got crossed. So she thought that there was a woman in my room, and because she could hear this woman's voice over the baby monitor. And she ran in there and realized that it was just a neighbor on a landline. But I don't know. There are weird things like that. But then how does that happen in a forest?
Thank you.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, the only thing I could think of like skeptically with this, like with the walkie-talkie, is like depending on like, I don't know, I'm not a ton of walkie-talkie knowledge, but from what I know, like there's different bands, there's different channels that you can get on. There could be like interference or something. Obviously, it could be somebody like screwing around, like playing like a prank, or maybe he's getting feedback. But it's kind of weird that he hears
like
ducks.
A whoop
Yeah, but he hears ducks too, so he can hear something from the other end coming over. That's not just this like crazy whoop sound. So
there's a couple elements to that I find very interesting. The first is that excuse me, got to clear the old throat here. The first is that a lot of times people say like a gaggle of geese or a group of ducks very much sounds like an overpopulated cocktail party from a distance, where it sounds like disembodied human voices communicating to each other in a chattery, kind of pleasant way.
Oh, wow. I never even thought about that.
Yeah. So I wonder if maybe the duck sounds, even though I know it was also flapping and like the sounds of it frolicking in the water, apparently, might be indicative of voices of some sort overlapped in such a chaotic way that he just interpreted it as a natural kind of forest sound coming through. And secondly, even though it was compared to a train whistle, it also was compared to a wolf howl, the whooping. So that seems to be much more organic than traditionally feedback sounds. We all know the sound of feedback. We all hate it. It's just what it is. But so between these two things and the fact, and what Allie just pointed out, I think is very key, 1 to 2 hours driving, 1 to 2 hours hiking, it doesn't mean that it can't pick something up somewhere, but that's pretty remote.
Yeah, I was also kind of struck by how far out into the middle of nowhere he was. I mean, that sort of eliminates any foul play from just like a random person that's walking by and is like, I'm going to scare this guy, because who would be out there?
Exactly. And what a weird way to try to scare somebody. Like that's more like you're trying to befuddle somebody.
Well,
which is scary, I guess, in its own way.
There is an aspect that we are missing with the story. The evidence is quite clear, Robert. I'm kind of shocked that you didn't pick up on this. So we all know the whoop whoop sound is the sound of the juggalo.
Oh my God.
So now,
Forrest, have they gone feral?
Listen,
are there roving packs in the woods now that we need?
I want to shout out. I'm going to shout out all of our Juggalo listeners, because we have a whole fucking ton of them. There's There's hatchet folks as far as the eye can see.
Yoo-hoo for days.
There's
wow.
I'm
jealous.
Yoo-hoo?
Isn't that the beverage of the
No,
Juggalo?
it's the Fago.
Oh, my bad. Now that's why they didn't like my party. Now I know. Juggalo
So-
etiquette. I failed so hard.
You did. I'm gonna shout out my dude. Jesus Christ, my dude Stuart. What up, Stuart? He's a good dude. Juggalo. He's awesome. So yeah. The Juggalos go out in the woods, dude. There's the gathering of the Juggalos, as we all know about. I'm sure, Robert, you remember from our previous podcast that one year I fell in love with this gathering. I did not go. I wanted to, but I couldn't because they had Gilbert Godfrey and Cannibal Corpse on the same show.
Oh my God.
What?
Yeah, it was
That
on.
is an iconic moment in pop culture history.
Wow.
Yeah, nothing ever will beat that ever. It doesn't matter.
No,
So
that wins.
could be woodland juggalos out there's whooping around doing
Harvesting
their thing.
duck.
Yeah,
Ducks. I don't know how to
or
plural it.
maybe rescuing some raccoons, putting things back into nature. Doing what they do. So
Replanting. Yep.
you can never. We normally say you can't take the devil off the table, but I dare say this time
yeah.
you can't take the juggalo off the table.
Fair
I
enough.
think that deserves a standing ovation. I
Yes,
had never.
Thank you.
Well,
Great. Thank you.
Yep.
Thank you. Yes.
well done,
I'll
Mr.
be-
Stores.
I'll be accepting this award on behalf of all of our juggalo folks out there.
And the juggalettes, lest you forget.
I said juggalo folks. Okay, I hit everybody.
Wow.
All right, everybody out there. Everyone's getting this award. We're gonna whoop whoop, and there's gonna be fagos and wrestling matches and all kinds of fun family
I will
stuff
keep
happening.
the yoo-hoo
And,
to myself.
and Yoo-hoo. Yeah.
and you.
But I will not be drinking it because that shit's terrible.
Oh no, it's
terrible.
mud water, dude.
It's
I don't-
garbage. Oh,
I don't even know what's in
I
it.
could spend the rest of the pod just
Chalk.
talking about how much I hate that shit. If somebody offered me a yoo-hoo and a circus peanut, I might have to punch him dead in the face.
Yeah.
Circus peanuts suck.
Oh,
yeah,
they're
those are
fucking
horrible.
Oh, they're
Horrible.
awful. Whoever
Yeah.
made those and why? Why did
don't
they
know.
hate people so much?
Punishment
that
in prisons? I don't know.
yeah, they just
Like
That's
in the
like-
1890s?
ugh, it's
That's like
terrible.
Great Depression candy.
Yeah.
Like I don't why
for
we've
sure.
moved past that as a culture. We don't need that anymore.
Hardtack and like a fucking apple core. Here's your candy.
Yeah.
kid. Fucking enjoy. Oh, or a circus peanut. I'll take the hardtack apple. Thanks.
Yeah,
Yeah.
no, for sure.
All
Awesome.
right, let's
All
move
right.
on to our second tale of forest-ridden woe from Chris from Texas. I think I can go with the first name here. So let me just say, you guys are the shit. Thank you. You're the shit, Chris. I've been listening to y'all since you started. I've just always been too dang nervous to send in a story. But I've been holding on to this one for a while, and I finally got enough courage to share it. Excuse my writing, though, because I'm not fucking Tennessee Williams. And thank God, because I can only stand so many soliloquies of desperate drunken people whining about their pretty good lives. Not that I'm not a Tennessee Williams fan. He's fine. So back in 2019, my neighbors invited me to go along with them on a deer hunting trip on their lease somewhere between Del Rio and Marfa. That's as specific as I will get. We packed up the truck and all loaded in, ready for a long weekend of being men with guns ready to bring some sweet, sweet deer meat home. So, all right, good. We left home late and didn't arrive to the camp until 2 a.m. The camp itself is bordered by a ridge on 3 sides, with the 4th opening up to a vast desert landscape with a dry creek bed and lots of dry brush where the deer like to go bed and hide. That always sounds dangerous to me. I know maybe it's because I read Sun Tzu when I was a kid, because I thought it would be a smart thing to do. Not like I've ever even barely gotten into a fist fight, but war tactics seemed like a fascinating thing. But trapping yourself in on 3 sides always seems like a dangerous thing, even if you're just fucking hunting.
It does, yeah, because what happens if a wild animal comes into your area and it just starts kicking? I mean, you can't get out, right?
Absolutely.
Nah, if you got your back against the wall and there's a kicking.
What if it's a not deer? What if it's a non-traditional
Oh my
animal?
God. Those
Boned.
those are so fucked. Those
They're the worst.
animals. They're
Yeah.
horrible.
Totally.
Hate those things. I really do. I almost don't want to do the pod on them because they skeeve me out so bad.
They
But-
are.
We
kinda-
just did it this year and we had 3 listeners call in and tell us they're not deer stories. And oh my God, I was like so scared. I was recording super late at night and I was just like, no, I can't listen to any more of these.
Oh my God, that's fascinating. You're going to do a follow-up, I hope.
Maybe. We'll see if I get brave.
Right on. Okay, so he's in this most dangerous, three-sided place. We just leave it at that. Seeing as we got there at 2 a.m., it was either we stood up the 3.5 hours and got in a morning hunt, or we could get some sleep and be rested for the next day. Ultimately, the latter was chosen. We all four piled into the small RV, the small camper on blocks would be our headquarters for the weekend ahead of us. We slept through the night, but come early morning, just before dawn, nature came calling. I stepped out of the camper into the vast, dim-lit desert, the cold morning wind blowing hard, the sun slowly rising from behind the ridge. That's some fucking poetic writing. Give yourself some credit, bro.
Yeah.
Well done.
Painted a scene for me.
Absolutely.
I'm there with him.
I walked around to the side of the camper and began to relieve myself as intended. I stood facing the ridge, watching as the sun was barely giving enough light from behind to expose the silhouette of the deer blind that sat on top. I was so focused on the sheer beauty of nature and the relaxation of pissing freely as God intended. Hear, hear. Now that's evocative. Well done. It came as a shock when the shadow of a man appeared to breach the top of the ridge.
You got a friend.
Yeah, or at least a voyeur.
Someone's coming to say hi at a weird time.
Sure.
Yeah.
I stood and watched as what I could only believe to be a man walking along the ridge and towards the deer blind. I stood there in disbelief. Where the hell did that person come from? Who the hell is this? Is it a person? Why is it out there? Do they need help? It got closer and closer to the blind and then stopped down the ridge in the shadowy brush where I lost visual of it. I zipped up my pants and started to hit the side of the RV trying to get one of the guys to wake up. I didn't want to be alone in this situation. I started to back up slowly, not wanting to take my eyes off of the darkness in where the figure had disappeared. From out of the darkness, coming back on top of the ridge, I saw not the bipedal figure, but the shadow of something on all fucking fours.
No.
Yeah.
No.
Jesus Christ. Yeah, I agree. That's my first instinct.
No.
Don't go quadruped. Don't do that.
No. That's the worst, man. As soon as they get on all fours, you're like, fuck, they have speed.
Right?
Yeah, they're so fast now.
And then they move like spiders, too. Like stupid speed. Like in animal speed. I don't even know if in animal's a word. But fucking spider speed.
Yeah. It is.
Alacrity. Fast. All right, I'm done being a fucking thesaurus.
Alacrity.
I'm not done because a person getting on all fours, there's something about it that's just not right. I remember I was watching like one of those MTV True Life episodes about, it'll be like True Life, I eat my couch, or like True Life, I, think I'm from outer space. Okay. But there was one that was like True Life, I'm a furry. And I was watching it and I was like, this is fine, whatever, sweet. They like to dress up as animals, totally fine, on board. Then they cut to somebody who was walking on all fours. Like 90% of their day, they were just dressed as an animal walking on all fours, like going down the street, going to the grocery store. And I was like, this, I'm not okay with that. I'm okay with like 2 legs, totally fine. That's fine. But 4, something about it. I don't know.
Yeah, no, I think it was a while ago, Rob, we were talking about this with Peyton, where there was like that girl, Peyton's Rob's niece, who she's occasionally a guest in our show. She's goddamn hilarious too. There is that girl that was doing like the weird horse runs where she like practiced like running like a horse.
Yes,
and
I know exactly what you're talking about.
And she's really good at it. Like she can do it like insane how she does it.
To me, the reason why, Allie, I'm speaking for myself here, I find it disturbing as well. To me, it achieves sort of the uncanny valley of locomotion.
Yes.
Because especially like you're saying, what Mark was saying with the horse girl, when you do it well, particularly, it feels just fundamentally wrong, but it seems so organically accurate that it puts your mind in this like paradox mode where fear is the default, because it's like, what the fuck is this going to do? Right. At least that's the way it is for me.
Yeah, it feels like it has supernatural power if it can go fast on all fours. Yeah.
Yeah, it's no, that.
Not a fan.
Yeah,
none
of us.
No shoes, no shirt, no service, no crawling on or walking on all fours. There you go. That's the new one.
Not to like beat this dead horse, but to this day, I both fucking I'm chagrined by and delighted because I mean, we've all seen The Exorcist. We know how terrifying it is. But in the re-release version that came out, I think in the 90s, but is now out there on DVD and Blu-ray and all the other formats, there's the scene where she leaves the bedroom and walks down the stairs backwards on all fours.
No.
It's the most terrifying thing ever.
Exactly. The only time
so
she leaves
scary.
the room, and they ended up cutting it because they were like, oh no, we want all the terror to be in the room. That was a terrible call, because had I seen that as a child, knowing that this evil could breach the room and that it would come down backwards on all fours in the most just eerie way, it would have shattered my childhood. I probably wouldn't be here now.
Yeah, no, it ruined me in my 20s when I saw it. I was like, it's fucked up.
So yeah,
Like, it's
we're all in
creepy,
agreement.
man.
This guy is in a pinch because now it's a quadruped and fuck.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah. Okay. I couldn't believe it. I stood there in shock, watching as this fucking thing stood on the ridge and then jumped over to the side away from the camp. I told my neighbors, the lease owners, about what I saw, and his response was, oh yeah, we've seen some shit around here. And he added, like, what the fuck is it? Oh, we see some shit around here.
Oh, yeah. We see some shit around here.
Is it the answer that comforts you or makes it even fucking worse?
No, you need to dig deep around that and be like, brother, what do we got to do to secure the camp? We're boxed in on three sides, man. Come on now. Yeah,
Exactly.
There you go.
That's the point we made at the beginning. And now look how fucked you are.
Where is America's truck when you need it?
Not
you know where it
getting you to
is?
safety.
It's right next to you. It's always there.
Oh, I didn't understand. I didn't understand you were doing a lovely poetic tribute to America's truck,
To
which
my
is Mark's
truck.
truck for the
Yes,
record.
it's America's truck.
It's so
Oh,
fucking
that's its
big.
name?
It's a goddamn eagle.
Oh, no.
The man drives around in the fucking Continental Congress constantly. It's just the biggest American truck ever made, and Mark
It's
fucking
not.
drives it.
It's a crew cab with a short box. It's a Dodge Ram Bighorn. It's a newer edition.
No, it's America on wheels. Don't let him fool you.
I thought you had named it America. And in high school, my very first vehicle was a Ford Ranger, and I named it Walker because I was like, Walker Texas Ranger. Like, it's so
Perfect sense.
perfect.
Holy
Flawless.
shit.
Yeah.
All right, well, and
And
Mike.
Chuck Norris has been evoked, and now I'm a happy man.
Oh, fucking
Well
Now
done.
we're ready to move
Texas.
on.
That's
All right, now we're
we
ready to
can
move
do
on
it.
to the next story. The story that is right in our fucking wheelhouse. This is from Jeff. And this is how I know I didn't need to ask Mark whether that was cool that I say it, because he says, hello, no need for anonymity, as I will only use first names for this story.
Nice.
So dope. Thank you for adding that. One of them is a very unique name, so a few folks that hear this may recognize both the name and the story. There aren't many people who have heard it, but I can say from experience that it's pretty damn unforgettable. I would also like to add that I'm a fan, a longtime listener, and a Patreon supporter. Thank you fucking very much, Jeff.
Thank you so
Shout
much.
out Patreon.
Hell yeah.
Absolutely. Oh, God bless that site. Because what you guys do has helped me through some crazy trauma just by the nature of your enthusiasm, knowledge, and friendship. Thank you, dude.
Aw.
It really means a lot,
I love
honestly.
that.
We appreciate that.
Yeah, me too. I know Mark likes to praise the dark one, but I will say this anyway. God bless what you are doing, and thanks a ton. Well,
I
fuck it,
appreciate
Just
that.
warm my heart, Jeff.
Yeah,
Thank
you so much, Jeff. That means a lot.
Okay, here we go. It's 1980 in Florida at a place called T.Y. Park, and oh boy, now I'm going to try to pronounce this. Topokigi Yugni Park. I think I got it.
No, I think you did. Yeah.
Or maybe Tupoki. I don't know. Fuck it. I'm just going to ride with that. My family and I are vacationing from Michigan, mostly just camping and fishing, local amusement parks, etc. Our family consisted of my dad, Dillis. That's the unique name, if you couldn't tell. Fucking Dillis. I would not want to have been that kid growing up. Holy shit. Poor guy. Okay. My
Dillis, the
Go ahead.
Menace. I don't know. I'm trying to think of like what could you come
Yeah,
up
like-
with.
I mean,
Fucking
are-
Dillis the Chillis. Like,
well,
what do you-
Yeah.
maybe a pickle
That's
reference.
tight. Like, yeah.
Dillis
Oh,
a
that's
pickle.
true.
Or,
Dillis pickle.
all right,
that's
no,
true.
let's be honest. The bullies are going to be dickless instantly.
Oh,
Instantly.
Well,
Oh,
Yeah,
yeah.
no,
Okay.
the pricks will not wield it kindly. It won't be like, can I have a pickle, Mr. Dillis? You know, it won't be like pun witty, which is not witty. But, if you're 8, maybe.
Dear Dillis, can I please have a nice gherkin? Like, no one's gonna
Wow. Now you just made it. Now it's a New Yorker cartoon, fuckface. Well done.
yeah, there you go. Highbrow. I'm highbrow over here.
All right. So we all have empathy for Dillis. Mom is Anne. My sister Sue, myself Jeff, and my brother Tim. I was 8, Sue was 9, and Tim was 4. Tim and I were basically inseparable, and we wandered off a lot, as was the way of 1980, so that's just parenting. No one seemed to mind. It was a different time, as you guys well know. Anyway, my brother and I decided to explore after lunch on the last day of the trip, so we went through this little wood line that came out into a field of dry grass. It looked weird to us, and looking back, I would describe it as appearing unhealthy. Not just the grass, but the whole area. In the middle of this little field was a standalone stretch of barbed wire fence, as in it just started at a post in the field and ended about 4 posts later, nothing blocked by it. Just a 12 by 15 foot section of fence with barbed wire across the top. At the far end of the fence stood a figure. That's where it starts getting good, always. That we initially assumed was a man. He was short, maybe 5 feet tall, and covered in thick black hair. Not brown, black like deep black, but matted and filthy.
Ew.
He wore a nasty, unbuttoned flannel shirt. And what I later learned was a Trilby hat. Jesus Christ.
What's a Trilby hat? Am I lame for not knowing this?
No, I don't know either. I'm going to actually look it up real
Yeah,
quick.
please. Here, I'm going to Google it too. Hold on.
We're all fucking uninformed about the Trilby way.
Oh, it's a fedora.
No, this is like, you know what this is? This is Freddy Krueger in the middle of a field.
Oh, you're right. It
Mhm.
is kind of like a Oh, that's a Krueger hat. Well, is it? Sort of.
I was almost on the fence of being like, all right, this guy sounds kind of hot. Like, let's keep going. But then now the hat, now that I've looked it up, no.
Yep.
Now I'm
That
freaked
well,
out.
I'm not going to spoil anything, but just wait. Just wait.
Yeah, I was there for the shitty flannel and the matted hair. So far,
Yeah.
so grunge. But then, the fucking
Yeah.
hat
Right.
Just
throws it off.
He's a little tiny hairy dude with a weird hat. Who knows?
He's a hipster.
Maybe
clearly.
he's into cool shit.
Yeah.
He has a
All
good
right, all right,
relationship
I'm
with
not-
his family.
I'm not going to prejudge. You're right. That was bad on me. This dude might be awesome. Is he awesome, Mark? Because you read it. Okay, let's get to it.
I'm gonna wait for this to unfold.
I'm not sure what happened, but I remember feeling foggy for a second. And when I looked up at my brother, he and I were walking right to this thing. No hesitation, no fear, just heading that way. My brother was a little ahead of me, and I recall him staring at the thing, and my brother would keep reaching over with his left hand and touching the barbed wire in between the little sharp spikes. Jesus Christ. This thing's got the mesmer or whatever, and fucking
Yeah.
these kids are just getting too goddamn close.
Ugh. Hypnotized.
Yeah.
Yeah, something.
That seems so odd to me that I believe that's what snapped me out of it. I took a good look at this thing then, and it still scares the shit out of me when I think about it. The shirt and hat was all it had on, and its legs had knees that bent the wrong way.
Oh, no, I don't like it.
It gets worse, but not backwards. They seemed to jut out to the side as if they were almost broken. Oh, it's like super bow-legged, but broken, nasty ways.
Yeah, man, like some vitamin D, dude. Like the rickets. Is
Oh,
that what
scurvy.
happens? Yeah, scurvy. You get the rickets. I don't know, man.
Jaundice? Yeah, what else can we get?
You get all the pirate ailments at this point.
Your failing liver.
Oh, there's
That
definitely
boy-
too much rum involved in this guy's hygiene regimen.
That boy's got a case of the jaundice.
Also, is he Winnie the Poohing it? Is that what you're trying to tell me right now? He just has on a shirt and a hat?
Robert, let's continue,
100%.
Robert.
Okay. All right. Mark knows, so we will continue. This is what snapped him out of it. Our legs were bent the wrong way. It's where we left off. They were, I guess it's a nice use of the pronoun. Not knowing it first. Good for them. They were covered in thick, filthy black hair as well.
Oh.
I could also see its phallus, politely put, which was hairless and covered in discolored splotches and raw skin. What the fuck are you doing, dude? Oh, he's
Dude,
got a diseased dick on a fucking rotten Bigfoot with a hipster hat and a shitbag fucking flannel.
Dude,
This is what you bring to the party. We have company.
No.
It's got a weird dick, dude.
Also, how long were you staring? Isn't it polite to not stare
I would assume
directly into
just-
the dick?
Yeah.
I would think, yeah.
I mean,
Some
generally,
fucking shitfield etiquette, please.
yeah, man. Like, keep your eyes up top, or
Oh.
no, I was gonna say stare at the knees, but don't, because they're weird and broken
Yeah.
and bent. But like,
No, he's like
keep
the
your eyes
heads up here,
top.
kids. Come on.
Yeah, stare at the brim of the hat. Like,
Yeah,
I don't.
and you
good
stare at the
Lord.
sun at this point. Like,
Oh
Jesus.
my lord!
Yeah,
He's
now
got-
look.
he's a leper from the fucking shaft down. It's the worst fucking thing I've ever read.
This is Freddy Krueger. That's how I imagine
Oh my
Freddy
God.
Krueger's penis would be. Just totally
Yeah.
diseased.
Just totally.
All right. Okay.
Dude, that shit's haunted. All
It's
right?
very
It's
haunted.
fucking haunted.
That is 100% haunted.
I do like how we used the term phallus. I was like,
Yes.
"All right, it's very classy.
Keeping it classy.
It
Yeah.
actually sounds very similar to Dillis,
Oh my
which
God.
was the name of the dad.
Oh, phallus.
See, that's another.
Dillis.
The
Dillis
smart
the
bully
phallus?
would have said
Yeah.
that.
There's something
There
there.
you go.
Oh my
Huh.
God. All right.
All right.
Okay.
Well,
The description isn't over yet, so I'm
No.
sorry in advance.
Okay.
Its chest that I could see where the shirt was unbuttoned was man-shaped and looked almost normal except for the hair. Same for the hands and the arms. Its face was mostly human normal, but there was hair almost everywhere on it too. Its nose was wrong, like mashed up and lumpy, far beyond, say, a broken or cauliflowered nose. Oof. That's
Oh,
tough.
yeah.
Hard life. And its teeth, oh shit. Its teeth were just plain terrifyingly narrow and filthy. 2 words you cannot have with teeth.
narrow and
filthy.
Yeah, not good.
Oh. It seemed like it had 100 or more tiny, disgusting teeth in its mouth. And here's where I sign off, because that was it. The 100 teeth is, you can't, bad enough. That's too much. And I could see them because its mouth was moving, though I do not remember hearing any sounds, as in none. No birds, bugs, or breezes. That weird, eerie silence still bothers me too, and you'll see why shortly. Couldn't have been more than a handful of minutes we were in that field, though I don't remember what happened during the foggy period I had, or how long it lasted. But we weren't at the thing when I came out of it, and it started out maybe 50 yards away from us when we saw it, initially. I immediately grabbed Tim and dragged him away at as much of a run as I could muster. He didn't resist, thank God, because that would have been tough for an 8-year-old. But he seemed enraptured by that creepy bastard, and I was fleeing in mortal terror for the first time in my life, so I was a mess. Now it gets weird. Now it gets fucking weird.
It's already weird. There's
Yeah,
there's no good explanation. Like maybe a hipster got lost in the woods and like broke his legs and his veneers fell out, and so he just has like weird narrow tiny teeth. But even then, oh God, it's not great.
Just wear
No.
a pair of pants with your weird knees, man. Come on.
Yeah, come
Put
on.
a towel on. Do something.
It was kind of you not to mention the fucked up dick, but that's also a good
That's what I'm
reason to
saying.
wear pants.
I'm saying, man, put a towel on, dude.
I mean,
Do
I'm not
something.
trying to knee or dick shame anybody, but dude, decorum. Come on. All
Yeah,
right.
Come
honestly.
on.
You're in a field with some kids, for the love of God. You're on a list.
Yeah,
You're
like
a predator now.
weird
Jesus.
pervert.
Yeah.
I don't know.
Yeah,
like-
with broken legs. It's so
Yeah.
weird.
So anyway, now it gets weird, he was saying.
All right.
I headed straight back where we had come from, hit the tree line, and came out the other side at our family's camp. Everyone else is doing their thing, and Tim and I just sat down and started eating watermelon. We never told them or anyone about this, and I still don't know why, until 1992. So that's a really interesting point. And I think, Allie, it's one that you brought up when we were guesting on your pod, which is sometimes people act normally after a weird incident.
Yeah,
and
for
it's
sure.
inexplicable. And and we see that time and time again with extraterrestrial stuff, which you can easily, I guess, attribute to I don't know, like psychic interference or some high technology they may have. But less so, but still fairly prevalent in cryptid encounters, which I mean, I guess plays in a little bit to Mark's interdimensional shaman, beloved pet theory.
I think also maybe some of it is just like self-preservation, especially as a child. I mean, it sounds like he was pretty young when this happened. What do you even do at that point? Maybe you just go eat watermelon and you're like, that was fucking haunted. Let's never speak of this again.
Yeah, I
Fair.
mean, especially if the level of fear and trauma like that is so high. Like, I mean, he said he was a mess, but I mean, I'm sure at some point after you kind of come down from everything, you're probably just drained and you're like, fuck, like I have to just move on with my life and not say anything about this. Which is
Right.
fucking, like you said, it's haunted as fuck.
It really is.
Yeah.
Yeah, no, I mean, that does make sense. But also, I mean, I do see where he says it's weird a smidge, because an 8-year-old and a threatening situation, I mean, it is not beyond the pale, depending on your relationship with your parents, of course, that the first thing you would do is like go to mom and dad and be like, geez, Louise, this is a huge problem in the woods. And Tim was really into it and we got to do something. So I get sort of where he's coming from in this. But anyway, so 1992 is when they finally broke the silence, but this is how it was triggered. I was giving Tim a ride home to our mom's house. By this time in our lives, our father had passed long since. I'm sorry about that. And we had moved from Michigan to Alabama, and Tim and I had only recently begun seeing each other regularly again. I'm not sure if it's relevant that we lived closer to where it happened, though not close, but closer than Michigan. But it always feels like that matters when I tell this. Anyway, we are going down the road and both of us just look at each other and say in unison, on my life, this is the truth. Do you remember that day in the park? Wow.
Oh.
Yeah, that's
That's
some
one of
weird,
those
like, that's
super
some weird,
serendipitous moments that blows your
like
mind.
weird, like, I don't know, trauma.
Bonding,
Yeah,
yeah.
I was thinking like trauma bonding. Yeah, that's like,
Yeah.
oh,
But to be
boy.
on the same wavelength so many years after the fact, after you've not talked about it for that long, that is spooky.
Yeah.
And to
That's-
contextualize it in the exact same sentence.
Mm-hmm.
Crazy enough if they have both brought it up simultaneously. Like that's
Right.
almost, paranaturally serendipitous, but fucking to use the exact same words, it was almost like, was there like a locking mechanism on their psyche?
Yeah.
And it's sort of like, when you release the JFK assassination papers 50 years later, when you guys are like 22, you're allowed to, and, or whatever other ages they would
To
have
know
been,
about it,
to
yeah.
know.
Yeah.
And suddenly it clicks. It's weird, but it makes you think like, this might be more than just a physically anomalous, to put it politely, being.
Right.
It might be a truly enigmatic entity. But all right, we'll just wrap this up and then we'll break it down. We both became incredibly upset. Speaking of trauma, that is, I had to pull over the vehicle and we began telling each other our experience. Everything matched up, with a few minor size discrepancies that I attribute to our age difference, except for one thing. Tim heard the thing calling him by name over and over. That must be when the thing was moving its fucking filthy tooth
Oh,
mouth.
I got the chills. I got the chills.
Man, this is so creepy. I'm
And
never going
he
to the woods
said,
again.
yeah, I know. He said he felt like he had to go. So it was a compulsion.
Yeah.
Oh
Oh,
my God.
Yeah.
okay. After that, we both had some strange things happen to us, and sometimes they still do. I may write in with a few more stories from my own experiences, though nothing has ever come close to this one. Thank God for that. I've had years of night terrors as a kid and teenager, and now I know why. Truthfully, the moment is never far from my mind. When I fully saw what stood in front of us, I had to accept a scary truth. I do not know what that being was, but it was not a man, and that means monsters are real. That has got to be one of the most
Oh.
psyche shocking revelation. I've always thought about this. We've talked about this a lot, Mark and I and our other partner Chris on the podcast, and I'd be interested to hear what you think about that, Ellie. Just like when you see something, and we've interviewed obviously people we know and trust that have seen things from like lizard person kangaroos to God knows what. Like, how do you, like, for us, it's an intellectual exercise. I'm open to an infinite universe full of crazy possibilities. I entertain the possibility can be almost anything can happen, even though I tend to be grounded a little more in the corporeal and you know, what science would say, but that's fine. It's still wide open. But once you see something, done. You never get to go back to that. You can never be like, yes, I'm pretty sure weird shit happens, but you know, there's a chance it doesn't. It doesn't happen to me. It doesn't matter. Like, I'm always fascinated by the thought of like what happens then. And I'm wondering, is that something you guys have ever broached on Let's Get Haunted?
Yeah, I mean, luckily Nat and I have never seen like a dickless, legless, whatever this man was wandering through
We'd
the
be
woods.
lucky if he was dickless. Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, he was pretty close from what it sounds like. It was for sure rotting off.
Rotting
but
on the vine.
yeah,
As it
you're
were.
right though. If you were to see something like that, you can't ever go back. Your life is forever changed. And you can come up with as many explanations as you want, but at the end of the day, you're just trying to convince yourself that everything is fine and that nothing is wrong. And I don't know what I would do in that situation. I really don't. And these stories are kind of reminding me of, we did an episode on the Beast of Bray Road many years ago, and we interviewed I don't know if you guys are familiar with that. It's like a dog man creature.
Oh yeah, no, totally.
Oh, of course.
For
Yeah.
sure.
Linda
Yep.
Godfrey. Yeah. Legend.
Yep, exactly. And yeah, and we actually ended up speaking to a couple of people and having them on the show telling their stories of seeing the dog man, the Beast of Bray Road. And this one woman that was like, I don't want my voice associated with this. I will write to you what I saw. You can read it, but I want nothing to do with this. Her story,
Right.
strangely, was the most impactful to me. Which you would think it wouldn't be because she's not telling me face to face, but she essentially was sitting in her living room, looked out her front window, and this weird dog man was gripping the windowsill, staring at her. And she said it was literally the shape of a dog head with like a dog's snout, but it was a human nose on the end of the snout. So it was like a human face stretched out like a dog. And she was like, she's like, it's the worst thing I've ever seen in my life. I've never seen anything like that before or since, never had any paranormal experiences before or since. And it was so bad that I like told my husband we need to move, and we moved out of that town. I like, but it's true. It's like there's some things after you experience them, I have to imagine your whole like worldview shifts.
And what's funny is you had no way of knowing this, Allie, but fucking I have a huge like deep down phobia of animals with people faces. It stems from the remake of Invasion of the Body Snatchers from the 70s, where a dog came up with a dude's face, and human-faced animals. There's one crazy centaur story, but it's not a centaur. It's a horse with a person's face in Ireland, and I want to fucking die just thinking about this thing.
No,
Yes, I know that story. Yeah, it's terrible.
This fucking werewolf / dog man / whatever the fuck it was with the extendo human face it might be
grosses
the
me
most
out.
abhorrent thing I've ever heard in my
Horrible.
life.
It's awful.
Absolutely horrible. But
And
yeah,
how do
I mean,
you go home? Like,
that's
how
the
do you go
thing.
shopping? How do you pay your insurance? How do you do the shit you need to do?
How do you remain grounded in reality after experiencing something like that? Like, how do you not just immediately check yourself into a mental hospital? Because there's no way. I don't know that I'm strong enough to be normal after something like that. And
Yeah,
maybe that's, not correct to say, because I'm sure you experience horrible things and you push through them just like anything else in life, because what other choice do you have?
Right.
But seeing something like that, like something that you are being told does not exist or isn't real, or I don't know how you could not be mentally affected by that.
No, like I would rather see like a Bigfoot or something like some random like, oh, it was
An undiscovered animal.
yeah, exactly. Yeah, anything like that. Like fine, weird. All right, I might be able to get on with my life. Still think that things are kind of awful, but this thing, when it's, I mean, I'm gonna say there's a good goddamn chance to say it's in a human. That's it. Like, there's nothing you can never go back from that. You can, I mean, even going forward, I would be scared shitless that I would run into this thing again.
Absolutely.
Like, and apparently it has powers because it's trying to coax your brother over, and it's
And
just,
you. Thank
and
God.
you, yeah,
the
exactly.
incongruity snapped Jeff
Yeah.
out of it in time to rescue both of them. Very likely.
Yeah, I don't know. I
it
mean,
couldn't have been a
I'm
good
not-
outcome.
No.
No, well,
No.
I mean, there's definitely nothing fun happening if this thing gets like no.
Yeah,
And it's not a pizza party. It's full Freddy Krueger protocols. I mean, yeah, hopefully your parents years later burn him in, the elementary school or something. But
yeah, it's like opening. No, go ahead, please.
Oh, I was about to say, during like the last part of that story, I don't know if it was showing up for you guys, but on Riverside, it was showing up for me 666 megabytes uploaded just for like the majority of that story. Yeah. I was like, oh no.
It's the devil.
That's why he's on the table.
Man, hopefully,
we're never far away.
Let's just hope it's just King Diamond checking in, okay?
Yeah.
Saying hi from the nether. Oh, my. All right,
yeah.
so we're going to wrap this up.
He is still with us, but still.
Super quick, and this is interesting because this is Jeff's actual take when he said he had to realize monsters were real. And for the record, that's some scary shit.
Yeah.
He wraps it up by saying, these are little personal notes.
It's
Rob,
funny.
please refer to this thing as an enigmatic entity at least once. That's on my bucket list. I think I did. But I can assure you this rot dick hipster in the field is a fucking enigmatic entity. So, Jeff, you get that one. Chris, who's unfortunately not here, please find a way to debunk this and make me say it was a fucking rabid badger. Thank you, Chris. Basically anything to make me feel safer would be great. So, you know what? An alien wombat, not an alien from space, but like one that shouldn't be where you were, who stumbled into clothes that had fallen off of a clothesline and had, I don't know, don't all the marsupials have chlamydia? No.
Yeah, I think they do.
Boom, you're safe, bro. Just standing on its hind legs, learning to say your brother's name. Jesus Christ, no, I can't.
Just say it was a bear with mange, or like come up with something where you can rationalize it in your head.
You know what?
Yeah, I mean, it's like some weird mangy bear that was wearing a shirt and it found a hat and had a really weird bear dick. And
you know what it really it is?
Like,
and fucking Allie nailed it earlier when she made the Winnie the Pooh analogy. It's fucking Paddington gone to seed. Like hit the skids hard,
dude.
became got a taste of heroin, doing crazy, doing
Paddington's
tricks to
doing
get a fix.
Harrington.
He's got fucking like a dick holding on by like threads, and he's just fucking high, fucked up in a field, just looking for looking to roll him for change so he can fucking get some marmalade and heroin.
Just hitting that H so hard in the field, weird.
Yeah,
it's so bad. Okay, last but not least, Mark. I know that you know that this is absolutely not the whimsy of a child, but it's cool if you say it anyway. Also on my bucket list, Mark's definition, for the record, Ellie, of whimsy of a child is anytime we have a child eyewitness. And I try to be empathetic because I remember being a pretty smart kid, and I think kids are usually in it to win it. But Mark's like, kids are liars. It's the whimsy of a child. They make shit up, and he's not entirely wrong. So what he refers to is Mark's add on to almost every time a kid sees something that it might be an imaginative entity.
Yeah, but a shared hallucination, those are a little bit harder to rationalize.
Yes.
Yeah, this one is kind of hard to do like the whimsy of a child, because I was kind of thinking like, all right, man, like they're younger, they're out there in the field. For a second, I was kind of like, man, could this be some fucked up scarecrow?
Oh.
But, I mean...
with a dick and covered with hair? And a cauliflower nose, unless it literally is a fucking cauliflower bunch. I mean, who puts a dick on their fucking scarecrow?
I made a snowman once, all right?
Oh,
and
you put the carrot down south. Of course you
sure did. Yeah. The neighborhood hated me, if you couldn't tell. No, but yeah, having it be a shared experience like that, and obviously like it's clearly not a scarecrow, but I mean, I was trying to come up with something like, did they misidentify something, misinterpret something? Is this some prank? But there's obviously nothing there.
I mean, not a bad guess,
No, and even like if it was like a shared hallucination, sounds like it's not possible. Like if he was seeing one thing and his brother was seeing something else, like totally fine. But hallucinating the same thing,
right?
I don't.
Not possible.
Not
mass
possible.
hysteria,
No.
sure. Panic
mass hysteria
can
all
spread
day.
like a viral infection. That's fine.
Sure.
Even though a lot of times it's attributed to scenarios inappropriately, but okay, I'll let that one coast for now. Mass hallucinations, I mean, unless you really are combining psychic powers and panic, but that's so elaborate that it's just easier to say no. If two people saw it, it was there, regardless of what it really was.
Right. Yeah,
Yeah.
something was there. I mean,
Yeah.
maybe you could pick apart some of the minutia of like, well, one heard voices, the other one didn't. Like, you can pick apart little things, but at the end of the day, something was there that was fucked up.
Yeah.
Yeah, no, 100%.
He-
So as
he-
much
he-
as I
he
want to
wraps it up
say,
like
Whimsy,
this really quick. I know I digress so often. Jeff continues. I know it's a long one, but it's a big part of why I am interested in and slightly fearful of all of the strangeness we have yet to understand. And that, to me, is a very understandable reaction. Of course, you're going to
totally.
be curious, but you're also going to be trepidatious because it's not all theoretical, like we were discussing. So I absolutely get that. I hope this makes the show. Congrats, it did. Thank you for sending it, because I think I'm ready for some feedback about this. I have no label for what it was. I won't say demon, though I am a Christian and believe it's possible. You can't take that off the list. It doesn't seem to fit in my head for some reason, though. Whatever it was, I believe it was after my brother. And I also believe that it may have tried again and we just haven't remembered yet, which freaks me right
Oh,
out.
no. Oh,
yeah.
Like, if the fog
no.
hadn't broken and he hadn't rescued his brother, like I was thinking particularly worst case scenarios of murder, abduction, mutilation, who the fuck knows, but the kids weren't coming back. It's almost a scarier prospect to think that this is like the guy that collects the kids and brings them someplace worse for something fucking worse and then returns them when they're done, and they thankfully but also terrifyingly don't remember this ordeal. That to me is a much worse prospect.
Yeah, that's way worse than
Yeah,
seeing
Jesus.
a cryptid.
Yeah.
For
Yeah.
sure.
I mean, even dying would suck. I guess living is better, but fucking knowing that during your life, fucking leather dick over there is fucking coming to snag you when he's wearing a derby this time because he likes to switch hats because it's fun.
Oh, God.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's like, part of it makes me think of Weinstein because he apparently had like a weird rotting dick as well. But I'm just going to say, for my own mental well-being, I have to imagine it as a cryptid. I think that is better. I think that's like the least evil of all the outcomes. Like, do you really want to say that you saw a demon or Freddy Krueger or a dude that just looks like that? I don't know.
Yeah.
To me, I feel like it's better to be like, I saw a cryptid and that's just how it was born. So it doesn't know that it's fucked up looking. Like, you know what I mean? Like, then you can kind of feel sorry for it. And
Oh, that's interesting. Like,
Yeah.
I like that idea, but breaking it down a little bit, like just like a short foot, whatever. They're not all big.
Right.
It's not that tall. It goes through a lot of violent interludes from, I don't know, bully Bigfoot's why he's got a beat up nose, a messed up face, turned to like fucking crazy life. And I don't know, maybe he wanted to emulate humans to the degree that when he saw them at a distance, he adopted some of the clothing just because fucking why not? All of that brings you to a place where you
Scary.
can almost pity this thing, as terrifying as it is. But then it's whispering the kid's name and it can hypnotize fucking children. And then you're
Yeah,
like, fuck,
that's-
it cannot be, at least traditionally speaking, a cryptid as much as I, like
mean,
you, Allie, wish it was.
Hypercryptids possibility, because hypercryptids are cryptids with like weird powers that Rob has dubbed the inexplicables, which is super dope.
Yeah, it cross-pollinates. It's on the Venn diagram.
Oh yeah, no, it's all there. It's all super weird stuff. So yeah, cryptid. I mean, the clothes make me think though, like having the hat and having like the
Yeah.
weird flannel. Like, I mean, demon. That's wide fucking open. That's like beyond. That could literally be anything. I mean,
what about like a shapeshifter? Like, it takes the visage of whatever is most terrifying to the
Mhm.
person viewing it. I don't know. What about like a boggart? Like the cryptid in
Yeah, like the old
Ireland, I
Irish
think?
ones.
Yeah,
Yeah.
oh yeah.
Where they can shapeshift into something creepy depending on the viewer and the viewer's fears. I don't know. I just really don't want to believe that there's just a species of wild man demon out there that is waiting to pounce. I can't believe that.
No,
Yeah,
it makes it
especially like if
hard.
it predates
Yeah.
on children.
Yeah.
Like,
Yeah.
Jesus.
No,
Well, I
I
mean, on anybody. Honestly, I mean, we bring up the missing 411 quite a
Mhm.
bit, but like, this could be an explanation. Not saying it is, just saying. It's 401's always on the table,
that's
man.
scary to think
It's
that they were
super.
that close to being led into getting lost in the forest following this weird creature.
Yeah.
And
if it
has
is
just again, I can't help but the fucking teeth thing. I mean, the funky dick, never a picnic, but fucking just narrow and filthy, bad enough. But hundreds, overpacked,
yeah,
Oh,
man.
with
that's
almost
true.
like layers of teeth. It's like, Jesus.
I forgot about that.
You know what this thing looks like? If Charles Bukowski wrote a book about Bigfoot, he would have characters.
Yeah, honestly, this is
Just
like
the biggest drunken dirtbag foots out there. Dick in the wind, not giving fucks.
Yeah, and I was even thinking maybe like along the whole like shapeshift thing, like
If you
some,
shapeshift
like,
into that, fucking do yourself in.
yeah, or if whatever this thing is like affecting these kids, obviously on like a psychic level where like it's projected to them, that could be huge. That could be a wide open, like whether it's like an elemental, like some sort of like weird spirit from the forest. I don't know, some vengeful ghost of the land.
A vengeful ghost of what
yeah.
the fuck are you even doing? Where are you collecting these ideas?
I'm trying to go like a paranormal angle.
Vengeful
like,
ghost of the
like
land.
paranormal, because I mean, like I said, demon is so goddamn wide open. Like then you got to get in demonology, which Robert actually technically is a demonologist.
You can fuck
Oh,
right
really?
off. No,
Yeah,
I'm not. I was on a documentary once where I talked a lot about demons because that was the case. And Mark ceaselessly picks on me as if I know dick all about demons.
Dude,
I
because
do not. I mean,
you
I
were-
was a Catholic kid. I went to parochial school, so I know more than I ought. But
this documentary was on fucking HBO Max, for Christ's sakes.
Whoa.
Yeah.
so you're
That's
right.
big
I guess maybe
time.
No.
I am. Yeah.
No,
Fuck you.
seriously.
That's big time. No, hey,
Dude,
that's incredible.
Yeah, I mean,
Thank
I'm
you.
not on any documentaries. What am I, fucking beard guy? What am I going to
Wow.
do? Come on,
You're right.
you literally drove the entire goddamn show. It's
Thank
called
you,
The Devil's Academy. Check it out, Allie. It's awesome. Rob
I
does a
will. The Devil's
phenomenal
Academy.
job.
Hold on, I'm gonna make a note of this.
Yeah, no, it's really great. He does such a good job with it. It's awesome.
Thank you, buddy.
He honestly makes the whole goddamn thing because everybody else in the thing did fine, but Rob brings
You're
it together
biased.
and pushes it forward. He definitely
It's because
pushes
Rob-
it forward.
I know I haven't known you for very long, Rob, but I feel like you bring a level of logic and education and conviction to the stories
Oh,
that
yeah.
make them more believable than if it's just me and Nat screaming in a dark room about like, whether or not a dog man is real.
Oh my God. That is
Yeah.
so sweet of you to say, but you downplay your significance. You guys are fun and logical and dynamic, and I laugh as much as I learn. But thank you for your kind words. It's
Yeah,
very
so
sweet. Okay.
this story here, man.
It's nuts. And so, Ellie, I want to say this. Our listeners know the deal. You come on, and I got to tell you, you come and you visit the Cryptonaut podcast, and we couldn't be more delighted to have you. And when you get here, you better believe you're going to get fucking Bigfoot's disease-ridden VD cake dick, because that is the party favors we have over here.
You know
It
what?
is.
Nat is going to be so disappointed that her internet wasn't working and she couldn't listen to this. She would have had such good commentary for this.
Oh, I miss you, Nat. But yes, we're so glad you could do it. And
Yeah, no,
it was
thank you.
fucking perfect. So thank you so much. And I get, before we wrap it up, just can you let the good folks know where they can find you and Nat and your wonderful work?
Absolutely. Yeah. You can just go literally anywhere and type in Let's Get Haunted. If it's a social media, we're probably on it. We have a website, letsgethaunted.com, and we're also wherever you listen to podcasts. So definitely tune in, but mostly tune in to listen to the Cryptonaut Let's Get Haunted crossover on our show, where we talked about some very spooky forest stories that are similar to some of these.
It's a double theme. Mark, who
A double
always is the
feature.
master of themes,
Yeah.
created
Yeah.
the super theme. It's the first
I mean-
crossover theme we've ever had.
Well, you actually, I'm going to pull the curtain behind the production here, Robert. You brought that up to me, and I was like, yes, Robert, you're right. I did come up with it.
You son of a bitch. I gave it to you. I gave you the W. And you
I went for shit in the woods. I was like, all right, man, like we did one, but I
That
kind of put
counts.
together. I don't know, man. You know how I
You're
feel
a
about
wonderful
my,
producer.
You know how You know
And
how I feel about
we
my
adore
work.
you.
You know how I
And
feel about
thank
my
you
work.
again, Allie, so much.
Yeah, no, thank you for
Honestly,
stopping
it's
by.
an honor and a pleasure. And both conversations
So awesome.
that we have had about all these crazy topics have been pure joys. I mean, it's like an old friend that you just met. So thank you very much.
No, it was so awesome having you on. And yeah, thank you all so very much for joining us for this very special edition of the Cryptonaut Podcast presents Evil Science and Magic Buddies listener stories. The bonus episode, October, spooky season's here. So stoked. My year ends at the Super Bowl. So I'm coming to a close very quickly, but that's okay because I got October, November. We got time, folks, is what I'm saying. Is that we got time. We got a whole bunch of fun shit happening in the future here. And as always, you can find us on the Instas and the Twitters and the Facebooks and the TikToks, doing everything there. We got the merch over there, TeePublic Shop, hellerspace.com, Crowdmade Shop at CryptonautMerch.com. 2 different merch stores. Gets a little confusing, but that's okay because we don't print shit and they print it. They do everything for us, so we appreciate that there. Be sure to check us out on YouTube. We got our weekly YouTube videos there. And of course, our Patreon available at patreon.com/Cryptonaut Podcast. All kinds of video content, ad-free episodes, everything happening over there. We support, we appreciate everyone that supports us. It means so much to us. And yes, Allie, thank you again so very much. Chris unfortunately wasn't here, and unfortunately Nat's internet bailed out on her, but that's all right. We did it. We came together here. We made it happen. Had such a great time. And,
wait, I'm sorry.
2 whoops.
Are
2 wild
you?
man whoops.
Are you a walkie-talkie, Cryptid?
Yeah,
What's
I
going
am.
on here?
Yeah, I
shit.
am.
Hard
Dude.
party in the woods.
yeah, I mean, let's not forget our Juggalo folks out there, man. Got the woo, got that going on.
Pour
Hell
out
yeah.
some yoo-hoo for the juggalos
Yep.
and juggalettes.
Oh,
Exactly.
right. We just got banned. We got banned from the rally.
A few moments later.
All right, so we're in the middle of an outro, and I guess Riverside decided to bail on us, and then I disappeared again, and then we got Allie back, and then Rob's here, so
Yep.
there it is. what
She's thinking we're just rotten people who fucking won't say goodbye, but no.
no, apparently Riverside.
I literally thought you guys kicked me because I had started talking during your outro, and I was like, oh no.
Oh my God.
Oh, no, never.
It's adorable that you thought we could be that
Yeah.
sensitive. No, we
No.
talk over each other all the time. It's
Oh.
part of the charm / why people hate us.
Yeah, check out our reviews. People get real pissed about that. Yeah, for some reason, Riverside kicked everybody and then started downloading tracks, but all right, weird. Well, you know what? That's one hell of a way to end this episode. So
Hell
there we
yeah.
go. Excellent. All right, thank you all so very much, and we'll be talking to you soon.
And I'll say this. I'm stealing from Allie now. The theory that Freddy Krueger's dick dropped off and a Bigfoot tried to fucking co-opt it and kind of sewed it to his belly fur. It's probably the best theory we didn't discuss.
Yeah.
And so I'm really happy that was said out loud. So for that alone, I'm glad we all reconnected. And again, Ellie, you guys fucking rock. Your podcast is great. Everyone go out and listen to it immediately. And I'm even going to say this. I'm definitely designing a Faith Force 1 t-shirt. And if you guys want to hear
I'm
the
gonna buy
story,
it.
you have to listen to our episode that we guested on Let's Get Haunted, which will be out right now. So
Yeah,
it's
there it is.
fantastic. It's fun, and buy your t-shirts.
There it is.
Hey,
Perfect.
I'm gonna buy it to support you guys. So
Oh,
awesome.
just you know,
Shuckleberries.
I'll wear it on a live stream for Patreon too, because I'm sure our audience will really like it.
Oh,
Excellent. Awesome.
so sweet.
All right.
Thank you.
Cool. Thank you again so very much, Allie. Talking to you.
Bye-bye.
Thank you.